Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Crazy Pine. In this video, we're going to be talking about whether or not supply ships are worth going for within Apex Legends. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free down below to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with bell notifications on so that you never miss another Apex Legends video. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the supply ships, if you don't know, which I'm hoping you already do know what they are these ships that will drop into the map every zone. Starting with when you first load into the game, there's obviously that very first supply ship. You should pretty much know what it is. It just comes in every single zone at a random location in the circle, and it'll basically, you can hop on it while it's flying, so it's basically like a mode of transportation. Most of the people on the map land there, so you can expect to get into a couple of engagements, and obviously it has a lot of good supplies and loot for you to take. But is it actually worth going for a supply ship? I will also talk about supply drops in this video, and lifeline packages by like a little bit, but with the supply ship, do I really think it's worth going for? Personal opinion, no. Honestly, I'd say just going Skulltown and Market is better. I'd say Skulltown is more populated. You can find 3 or 4 teams going to Skulltown. Market and these supply ships share very similar traits though in terms of how many people go there. I'd say honestly, if you're not comfortable with going to Skulltown, you probably are better off going to Market, because both the supply ship as well as Market share very similar traits in terms of being very small, close quarters, and they have a bunch of people there. The loot that you can find on the supply ship is a lot better though. Some of the times you can find 2 blue armors, 3 or 4 common armors, 1 purple, sometimes 1 purple armor, and then also 1 blue or 2 blue and 1 purple backpack. Obviously the main guns like R99, G7, triple take, etc. You can find obviously the very similar guns that you could if you go to the ground. It is considered a high tier loot spot obviously because it is the supply ship, it's supposed to be. But most of the times you can find yourself getting into a sticky situation in the supply ship, and I've even read an article about it. This guy said 5 times out of 10, so 50%, you either get a couple kills and leave, and if you do, you're still technically not at a proper advantage because you're going to be somewhere random on the map. So if you want a random aspect to where you're going to play your game in a random drop and let the game choose where you're going to drop, just go for the supply ship, which I guess could be pretty fun. But if you're trying to go for easy wins and try to play the game strategically, I wouldn't necessarily go for the supply ship, only because it will leave you at a random spot in the map after you are done looting it if you do manage to survive. So obviously if you plan out your rotations from where you drop, so say you're going to drop Skulltown, you're planning to rotate to Market, then through bridges all the way up to Cascades. You can plan your route that you're going to take for the map when you want to drop wherever you're going to choose. But obviously if you're going to drop on the supply ship, it's going to be a random place on the map that you're going to be spawning at technically, because the ship will run its course. But I might add, it is actually super sick fighting way up in the sky on a hovercraft, moving through the map at once. So it's kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. It is a little risky going there because obviously, like I said, with the map rotation, you can't plan it. There is also going to be a couple teams on there too, and it's very close quarters, so you're going to have to try and fight for a gun, which is obviously why it's a 50-50% chance of winning. Once you master down the dropping pattern, I do feel like it will get a lot easier, but like I said, 50-50% chance of winning the supply ship battles, obviously. But if you're trying to go for fast, easy kills right off the hop in a high intensity gameplay, the supply ship is pretty good. It adds for a random factor in the game. I wouldn't say it's better than Skulltown because most of the time you can find a ton of teams going to Skulltown depending on where the dropship is going. But would I say it's worth going for the supply ship? Yes and no. Like I said, if you're trying to have a fun game, yeah, I would go for the supply ship. But if you're trying to go for a strategic win and plan out your route, I wouldn't necessarily go in for the supply ship. I've seen tons of teammates and tons of guys pin the supply ship like they want to go to the supply ship. And yeah, it's a fun place to land. It's most people's favorite spot to go. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but obviously if you like to go to the supply ship, go to the supply ship. Care packages and lifeline drops are a whole separate story. Obviously, yes, they do deliver you packages and good loot, but would I recommend going to them? Lifeline drops, yes. Supply drops, no. So with a supply drop, yes, it does. If you don't know this, it does ping a blue light in the air. But what the part you probably don't know is when you open up the supply drop, the blue light will go away from the mini map as well as from the actual game itself. So yes, it's good to get them, but the supply drops also do pose a very big bait factor in the sense that most teams, from what I do, this is what I actually do and what I recommend you guys do, they won't open up the supply drop. They'll just camp on a high ground, cliff or whatever, and try and bait people towards the supply drop so that once they open it, they can just get the free easy kills and then steal the loot from the supply drop after. I would recommend doing that because obviously you still will get the loot. It's just an easier way to clear out a team, get some more XP, get some more kills, as well as getting the loot in the long run anyways. So, you're still going to get the loot, but it's just a lot more strategically planned out if you're just going to camp the supply drop and try and bait it. Lifeline drops are kind of the same thing, they do tell enemies where your location is, so obviously that's one of the big disadvantages to using Lifeline. It's good for the free loot aspect. You can try and find a purple armor or even a purple backpack or stuff like that, a gold threat scope, scope, but most of the time, you know, if you're facing a good player, if there's a good team in the lobby, I would recommend you guys doing, most lifelines get their drops at around the 3-minute mark, the 3 to 5 minute mark, depending on where they want to plant them. So most people, if they're just the average lifeline, will pretty much just call them in right when they get them. Obviously, because if you call it in right when you get them, you can get it more often in the game. I wouldn't recommend doing this, but because the only reason, and I'm trying to get to this right now, is because if you're a good team in the lobby, you'll know when people have their lifeline drops, and all you gotta do is just look up to the sky and see a bunch of lifeline drops falling, and they pose a very big bait factor as well. That's the one thing with supply drops too. It's just lifeline drops are a little bit different because instead of having to bait the enemies for it, they're basically baiting themselves. You don't have to wait for them, they're basically telling you to come to them. So if you see a lifeline drop dropping, go towards the smoke trail. Most of the time you can kind of predict where they're going to rotate right after that, depending on, you know, which way it looks looted and which way it doesn't. You know, it's not the easiest thing to determine where they're going to rotate, but you can get the easy kills if you do bait the lifeline drop. And, you know, it's very easy to see where people are because they just bait themselves with the lifeline drop. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you guys did enjoy and if this did help you out and if you found this informative, leave a comment down below telling me what your favorite part of Apex Legends is, and leave a like. And if you are new over on the channel so that you never miss another Apex Legends video, subscribe with the bell notifications on so that you never miss future Apex content. Peace out guys, good luck on the battlefield, use this to your advantage, and good luck. Peace out guys.